Welcome to Traveling Kangaroo. If you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas, visiting soon, or just curious how new state laws will affect life here, stick around. Today we're hopping through the biggest takeaways from Nevada's 2025 legislative session, what passed, what got vetoed, and what it means for renters, homeowners, small businesses, and visitors. Grab your pouch. Let's jump right in. Nevada's big picture, politics and why it matters. Nevada's 2025 legislative session ran from February 3rd to June 2nd. The political scene is the backdrop to everything we'll cover. Governor Joe Lombardo, a Republican, vetoed a record 87 bills. That's huge. Democrats control both legislative chambers, but they fell just short of the two-thirds supermajority needed to override vetoes, by one seat in each chamber. That razor-thin margin shaped which laws made it through and which didn't. Why should you care? Because this split government determines new rules about housing, tourism, public safety, and even cocktails to go. If you're moving here, renting, or operating a business in Las Vegas, these bills change the playing field. As your traveling kangaroo guide, I'll point out the hops that matter most. Top new laws you need to know right now. Cocktails to go extended. Counties can allow restaurants and food businesses to sell and deliver alcoholic drinks. This broadens options for tourists and locals who love convenience, and it helps restaurants keep revenue streams after COVID-era changes proved popular. Fake cannabis shops. From October 1st, businesses selling hemp products that look like cannabis must post clear signage that they're not licensed cannabis dispensaries. The products can still be sold, but the signs are required to avoid consumer confusion. If you're a tourist, don't assume a dispensary-looking shop is a licensed pot store anymore. Check the signs. Starting October 1st, landlords have to refund rental application fees if the applicant doesn't end up getting the rental. And landlords aren't allowed to add online convenience fees that go beyond the actual processing costs. This change is really meant to cut down on predatory or confusing fee practices, which, honestly, is great news for renters and anybody moving to Las Vegas. Now, about Reeba's law. This one's powerful. Reeba's law boosts penalties for animal cruelty, and, just as importantly, it protects people who rescue animals from extreme conditions inside vehicles. So, if someone's pet is stuck in a car and in danger from heat or cold, a rescuer who takes reasonable steps, like calling the authorities trying to find the owner and cooperating with first responders, is now legally protected. That's just a big win for animal lovers. Street vendor licensing has gotten simpler in southern Nevada. There's now a single regional license for food vendors that covers Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Henderson, and Clark County. So if you run a food truck or just want to try some local street food, the whole licensing process is much more straightforward. Moving on to school bus cameras. Cameras on school buses are now going to record drivers who illegally pass stopped buses. Police will review the footage and can issue citations. So, if you drive near school areas, be extra careful. This is all about keeping kids safe at bus stops. And for bounce houses, there's a new wind limit. Bounce houses are banned when winds hit 15 miles per hour. This is a response to some viral incidents and real safety concerns. So, if you're planning outdoor events or family gatherings, definitely keep that in mind. There are a few other notable laws to mention. Diapers are now exempt from sales tax. Construction crews can start work earlier near homes, as early as 5 a.m. within certain distances. And there's a ban on the mass release of balloons to help prevent power line incidents. Plus, there's now a historic designation for the local Fruit Loop Entertainment District. So, let's talk about what almost passed. These are the major bills that Governor Lombardo decided to veto. In total, he vetoed 87 bills. I'll focus on the ones that would have had the biggest practical impact, just so you know what might come back in future sessions. When it comes to election and voter ID proposals, Democrats tried several changes, including a bill to start voter ID measures sooner, or change how mail ballots and drop boxes are verified. Lombardo vetoed them, saying that some of the language could allow unverified residency claims, or, loosen signature verification. It's also worth noting that Nevada voters approved a voter ID ballot measure in 2024 by a large margin, and it's really likely to come up again in 2026. If voters approve it again, it becomes constitutional. and that would basically lock in new ID requirements for voting. On sex education, there was a bill that would have changed Nevada's current model. Right now, parents have to give permission for kids to participate, to an opt-out model, where kids are included unless parents say no. The governor vetoed this, citing parental control grounds. As for firearm restrictions and other so-called culture war bills, several gun restriction bills, as well as bills about school policy, library protections for materials, and transgender prisoner housing rules, were all vetoed. Many of these vetoes were explained as either duplicating protections that already exist, or honestly, lacking clear legal definitions. So, a proposed law aimed at banning certain price hikes for essential goods was actually vetoed. The governor explained that pricing really reflects these complex market forces, and the bill's wording could have led to government overreach into private business pricing. Now, why do those vetoes matter? Well, Democrats were pretty close to a 2/3 supermajority, but they didn't quite get there. That meant the governor's veto pen stayed really decisive, and a lot of major policy shifts were basically stalled. You can expect some of these items to pop back up next session as political dynamics keep evolving. Let's talk about practical impacts for renters, buyers, and homeowners. If you're renting, the application fee reform, think refunds and limits on convenience fees, is probably the most immediately useful change. It should make apartment hunting a bit less costly and honestly, less confusing. If you're buying or maybe seeking mortgage help, a mortgage rate pilot for qualified first-time buyers didn't make it through this time, but there's a good chance it could be reintroduced. Also, changes to construction scheduling and minimum wage can affect costs for development and housing supply, so it's smart to keep an eye on how these changes might influence local rents and new builds. If you're a landlord, you'll need to adjust your application and fee policies by October 1st. Also, keep in mind there are new protections for tenants displaying religious signs and some changes coming to how long construction can run during early mornings near homes. If you run a business, food vendors now have an easier path to licensing. And for casinos, they can set private high roller minimums with regulator approval, a shift away from the old statutory minimums, which definitely affects hospitality and gaming operations. So let's talk about some local safety and quality of life changes that tourists should know about. First up, you'll notice that signage for hemp shops is now required. So don't just assume that every place that looks like a dispensary is actually a licensed cannabis seller. If you're planning to drive, keep in mind that school bus cameras are definitely real, and the rules about driving the wrong way have gotten stricter. It's now considered a misdemeanor if you drive the wrong way on a road. For families visiting, there are new rules about bounce houses and a ban on balloon releases, all aimed at making events safer. And finally, Reeba's law really highlights Nevada's stronger stance on animal welfare. So, when it comes to water and the environment, payments to farmers to conserve water and other Lake Mead-focused conservation measures really show Nevada's ongoing efforts to address those long-term water shortages. That's something that will definitely influence outdoor and agricultural policies over time. Alright, let's talk about what to expect next, and what might come back in future sessions. Voter ID and election-related bills are going to be front and center in 2026. The 2024 vote showed strong support for ID requirements, and if 2026 reaffirms that, election rules will change substantially. Mortgage assistance pilots and housing affordability initiatives are also likely to return, since housing remains a central concern in Nevada's fast-growing metro areas. Speed and red light camera proposals will probably keep popping up, but they face constitutional privacy and revenue skepticism hurdles. And yeah, bills tied to cultural issues, like sex ed opt-outs, library protections, and gender-related policy for prisons, will reappear because they reflect those long-running national debates. So, just a few final hops. Here's what to remember. October 1st is a key date. That's when application fee refunds, hemp shop signage, and some other rules take effect. The governor's 87 vetoes show Nevada's political balance is really tight, and that's going to shape the next cycle of bills and local policies. Reeba's law, school bus cameras, and rental application protections are among the most directly impactful changes for everyday life here. And if you're moving to Las Vegas or running a business here, Plan for small but meaningful regulatory changes around fees, licensing, and safety rules. Thanks for hopping along with Traveling Kangaroo. I really hope this guide makes Nevada's new laws clearer and helps you plan your next move, vacation, or business step. If you want a printable one-page checklist of the renter and homeowner-focused laws, or maybe a deeper dive on the election and voter ID changes, just let me know, and I'll bring it in the next video. Before you bounce away, don't forget to subscribe to Traveling Kangaroo, follow us on social media, and visit our website at travelingkangaroo.com for more guides, checklists, and local updates. Keep exploring, stay curious, and I'll see you on the next hop. Thanks for watching, Traveling Kangaroo.